And it's just gonna be audio, right? We're not
There it's most I post both. There's a video version on my channel, but then there's also
okay.
the just the audio on Spotify. So
Okay. So
Spotify is
I do have to watch what's going on here then.
yeah, I
All
get,
right.
but Spotify is definitely the thing that gets the most attention. So not big
Okay.
deal. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Convos of the Cast. I'm your host, Brandon Whipple. And fuck, I'm already off to a shitty start. Oh boy. Uh, Today I'm here with a very special guest, my good friend Jonathan Pelster. Jonathan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. How about yourself?
You know, just got done with midterms. It's a process.
Yeah,
How
dude, I
are
feel you on that. Like literally, I've had a midterm for like the past 2 weeks that I've had to do. It's like open book.
okay?
So we've just been slowly crawling along with it because it's like every question is like a paragraph that you have to answer about a book that no one read. So the entire class is just trying to figure it out right now. It's it's the ultimate USC online experience, I
Oh
guess.
yeah, this is I love paying for online classes.
It's weird. It's weird being a theater major and having to take the classes for smarter people sometimes.
Oh my,
Yeah,
I
you
know
know what I'm
exactly what
saying?
you mean. Yeah, and
Dude,
like
I got
there's people who are like that's like their major, and they're
Mhm.
like so smart about it. You're just kind of like, oh fuck.
Yeah, you know what I always do is I just hope that I pair up with them in lab or something.
Hmm.
Because I mean, besides that, some of those labs I literally I can't do. Like I can do like the conceptual stuff, but whenever it comes down to like math or graphs,
Hmm.
just it all goes out the window.
Have you seen The Boys?
I have not. I think we did talk about that a few weeks ago. I think we were at a
Yeah.
table read and not a table read. What was it? It was the meeting that we all had the get together.
The Zoom teaser?
Yeah, that's what it was. I
Yeah.
knew there was a official term for it
Yeah.
besides get together or table read, which we already did over the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you mentioned something about that. I'm definitely
Yeah.
gonna check that out probably right after psych.
Season two just ended the other week. And so usually, and I kind of learned this with season one because they do the weekly episodic releases and everything. And so usually that's what I prefer because back during the Marvel Netflix days when they'd release an entire show overnight, you have to binge that shit that night or else it's gonna get spoiled for you.
Mhm.
But the boys and it wasn't at that level yet, and so it was easy to kind of take your time with it. And then I did plan on watching season two as they came out, but then I did COVID and school and everything. I just didn't have time,
Yeah,
and
it's
so
strange how that happens, isn't it? I thought I'd have so much time now that classes are online, but it just
yeah,
seems to be more packed than anything else.
yeah, and then so when the finale came out, I just binged the whole season that night, and it's
Mhm.
probably one of the best original shows out there right now.
Nice. Yeah, I heard season two was a little bit more gory than season one.
Oh
That's the only
yeah.
thing I've heard about that show.
Mhm. And they definitely do some shit. Where I'm like, oh, you did a thing. Holy shit! But I don't know. It's a very good show, and I like it a lot. And Thomas and like almost, I guess he referred to it at the Hayden Harvey show, kind of like as like the boys
Hmm.
in college, which I think is an interesting comparison. Um, so I guess before we move forward, can you tell audiences a bit more about yourself?
I would love to. About myself or about my character?
About you, Jonathan Pelster, the
Oh,
man, the
darn.
myth,
I'm
the
afraid I don't
legend.
have anything with that. But yeah. So let's see. As an actor, I started acting, I believe, when I was 10. It may have been earlier, it may have been later, but I'm pretty sure it was when I was 10 years old. And I was very shy. I still am pretty shy, but I was in the fourth grade and I think I just got back from PE and the way that our school worked is that the gym was right next to the auditorium. It wasn't like combined, but
Mhm.
we had our own theater and everything right next to it. And I just saw that they had a casting call for that, like a few days in advance. And for some reason, me and all my shyness just went home, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna audition for this. Screw it, you know, because it's like, I guess it was just an experience that I hadn't had before. I mean, I was 10, so I haven't had many experiences, but that
Yeah.
was one of them that I haven't had. So I went home and I was like, Mom, I don't know how to act. And she was like, oh no, it's fine. Okay, here's the only thing that you have to do, Jonathan. This is the only thing you have to do to be a good actor. You just have to stand on stage and yell your lines, because 99% of the people who audition are going to whisper, and the director won't be able to know what's going on, won't be able to hear you. That's the only advice I was ever given, is just to stand on stage and yell my lines. So that's what I did, and then I got a part. So yeah, I guess it worked. I mean, you know, for an all-school play, I guess they had to meet quotas. You know, they had to have these many elementary school kids. So, you know, if I was competing against all the other elementary school kids and all of them whispered and I was the only one that yelled, I guess I would stand out. But then, you know, I started actually taking classes and I realized there's a little bit more to it than that. Not much, but a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know, you have to project, not yell. That's
Yeah.
what I've been taught. Yeah, projection. But yeah, I've always been good at that. Terrible at singing though. Yeah,
Mm.
projection good, singing's a no-no. So hopefully there's going to be no musical scores in Hayden Harvey.
Well, I have some news for you.
Yeah, well, I have some news for you too. Spring semester online, most likely. So no, I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
tell me about it.
Actually, it probably will be, and that's really
Oh,
sad. Um,
definitely.
but yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to working on this project
Yeah.
because, you know, as long as there are no musicals or dancing, you know, there is one scene where I can imagine myself putting on a few moves, but besides that,
Mhm.
uh, don't expect much if you ever do anything like that, and expect that from me. But yeah, that's
Yeah,
kind of
I'll scrap the musical episode.
good. You know, I know a lot of shows like to do little, like, not like spin-offs, but like, you know, special episodes where
Mhm.
they, you know, do a little theme for that. So yeah, but yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to the project. Yeah, I guess that's about me as an actor. Of course, there's other things, but you know, I like sushi. I don't know if that counts, if that's what you're looking for, if that fulfilled.
It's gonna be the title of this podcast. Jonathan
Yeah,
likes sushi. That's it.
yeah. We're actually not talking about the show during this podcast. I'm just going to
No.
talk about the many restaurants in LA where you can acquire sushi
Yeah. The
and
L
or
the
sashimi.
the LA Sushi Podcast. We're
Yeah,
rebranding.
that would get some listens, I feel
Yeah.
like. Is that what they call it? It's not views if it's on
This
Spotify.
listens. I don't know actually. This is only
Yeah.
episode 5. I haven't really learned too much yet. What other kind of like theater shows have you done in your duration as an
That's
actor?
that's a great question. So yeah, now I have to remember. All right, so I think, you know, I really started getting into it when I was in middle school, but of course, no one cares about theater kids in middle school.
Oh
So
yeah.
I'll jump to the important stuff. My first performances that I think were revolutionary in how I viewed acting and or acting technique and everything was I spent a couple summers in high school at the theater school in USC. Actually, I did a couple of the high school theater programs, one of which was comedy and one of which was acting intensive. And of course, you know, in high school, I didn't grow up in like a big city or anything, so our theater program was good. We had a lot of passion, but going to USC really opened my eyes, you know, towards realism and you know, things like that. Because I feel like, you know, a lot of times in high school it's very theatrical, it's very representational, but it really made me think differently about theater, and I think it really helped me. So we did 2 performances there. We did Midsummer Night's Dream and Our Town, which was coincidentally the first play that I ever did was Our Town when I was 10, which
Oh
is an
wow.
insane play for a 10-year-old to do.
Okay.
But yeah, yeah, no, I played Constable Warren when I was 10, and then I played Wally when I was like 16. I think I was 16, 17, somewhere around that age. Yeah, and yeah, I've done a few other plays, done some Shakespeare stuff. I feel like that's very common in high school. Good Shakespeare plays. I've done 3 musicals. I regret all 3 of them. Uh, it's one of those like gun to your head moments where you just got to do it because
Mhm.
it's like that's the only play happening right now at your school. It's like I got to audition for that. But yeah, no, and then the comedy program, it really helped me with my improv and everything. I learned under Kirsten Eggers. I don't know if you've taken a class with her,
Mm,
um, but
heard of
she
it.
is super good. She was in the Groundlings, I believe, or she went through the Groundlings Academy, something like that. So really good. So yeah, that's kind of my experience in a nutshell.
What's probably the most out there character you play, like the farthest from you?
That's a good question, man. Those
I don't
are
even have these ones written down. They just coming
Wow, these
off.
are some
I
Joe Rogan questions right
know.
here. You're really diving in. All right, who's that guy who asked the amazing questions on Hot Ones?
Oh,
Sean, isn't it Sean something?
something like that. I don't know.
Well, anyways, yeah, that's I'm stalling a little bit to try and think,
Oh
but
yeah.
I would say it was really awkward during one of our exercises actually in class. I would say playing Anthony Griffith was really weird for one of our
Oh,
exercises because I don't think I'm anything like him.
we
From
both played Anthony Griffith actually.
Did you play Anthony Griffith
I
too?
did
Oh my God. Yeah,
in class.
I never expected that to be a thing that's happened to me. I also I auditioned. I ended up not taking the part because I ended up doing Trojan Vision instead. But I auditioned for like an uh, MFA film thing. They do those scenes all the time, and they post in the SCA casting
Mhm.
where they go to Robert Zemeckis and they film it all and everything. So I auditioned for that. It was a scene remake from the show. Now I forget the name of the show, but it has a character named Titus Andromedon in it. Oh, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. That's the show.
Okay.
And yeah, I got cast as Titus Andromedon. Also, if you search him up afterwards, if you haven't seen the show, I am not like him for for pretty much every single thing is, yeah. I don't know how I got cast for either of those roles. There's been some other stuff. Oliver and As You Like It,
Oh
which
wow.
is
Hold
which is
on.
an actual play. Um, yeah, no, that was really interesting because that was the first antagonist that I played, and then I realized that I actually like playing antagonists. Yeah, no, it was something because the other lead, or the lead who played or Orlando, that's the name of the lead, and As You Like It, and he was a really good friend of mine, and that was his first play that he'd ever done. He was a wrestler, so yeah, and yeah, it was just really fun doing that with him. But it was definitely a new experience for me because I had never before played someone who was mean. and Oliver for half the play, very interesting character arc. For half
Mhm.
the play, he's the meanest guy in the world, and the other half, he's like the nicest, like lover boy. Like it's really weird, and it's a fast character arc. It's like one to the other. There's no like in between. There's like one scene, but yeah, and then I don't know, I kind of caught the bug. I like playing the antagonist because I don't know, it's fun. I think everyone like wants to be the bad guy at some point in their life. Eh,
Mhm.
think about how cool the Sith Lords are compared to like the freaking Jedi. Like I would totally want to be like Darth Vader over that freaking guy on the Jedi Council that has the super long neck and sways back and forth, or like the dinosaur that gets freaking killed instantly by Jango Fett. Like I'd
Yeah.
definitely rather be Darth Vader. And I don't know. I went over the top of that because obviously there's cool ones like Mace Windu and Yoda who would be cool to play, and Obi-Wan of course. But yeah, I don't know. I think playing the antagonist isn't for everyone. It is
Definitely.
hard for a lot of people to be legit just a terrible human being. But
Mhm.
I find it comes quite naturally. So yeah, I think that's good.
So in DKs, and I just fucking spent a whole podcast talking about this with Alyssa, but with my character in that, it was interesting because he wasn't fully the antagonist. You know, he's obviously the protagonist on the posters and everything, but like he kind of walked that line because he does some shit that makes you kind of go, oh, what the fuck, you know? Like, shoots some girl in the face who he literally just meets, shanks like a teenage kid to death. There's all this shit. So it's a lot of fun. I
Mhm.
feel. I did a short with the Trojan Stunt team, and it actually never came out. Um, because like the editor, I don't know, something about the editing, and they actually asked me if I wanted to do it. So it'll come out when I get around to it. Um, but I had a minor part where I played like this goon, like some other guy, and I talked in like a southern accent and had a crowbar, and I got to grab Zoe Mihal like by the hair and like yank her around and shit. So being something about being an antagonist, it's like freeing because you don't have to be
Yeah,
like, oh, I have to be all, I have to be all. Somehow it's like you do whatever the fuck you want, you know?
that's true. And it's like, it doesn't mean that you're like a hidden psychopath or something. It doesn't mean like any of that. It's the same people that like, every once in a while when you're playing Skyrim, you just got a quick save real quick and kill Nazim and then you're good to go.
Oh
And
yeah,
you go back to what you were doing. That might have been way too specific of a reference for I don't know what your listener base is, but I definitely feel like might go over a couple of heads, but
yeah,
I think both of us can relate adequately to that.
definitely. Or like save in Red Dead Redemption 2 and then just go mow down a town and then
Yeah,
leave that, you know?
it's the old
Stuff like
west.
that.
Like, what are you supposed to do? That's
Yeah.
that's like half the fun of the game. That's literally like the premise of GTA is just like steal a car, shoot someone, repeat. Like,
Yeah.
that's what it is, and it's fun. It's good.
Literally named Grand Theft Auto. I don't know what people expect from that game.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true. I don't get like all those parents that are like, this game is evil and stuff like that. It's like, I don't know. I've read a lot of studies, and there's nothing to confirm that playing a violent video game and doing weird stuff in violent video games is going to make you like a terrible human being in real life.
mhm,
The reality of the situation is terrible people are terrible people, and it's not games that make them terrible.
mhm.
So yeah, I'm all for just messing around in GTA or something like that because I know I'm not gonna freaking go out in real life and freaking like drive a car the opposite side of the freeway
Oh
or
yeah.
something at 110 miles an
Mhm.
hour.
And it's like even like, and I've never played it personally, but I see my sister do it all the time. Like even like the Sims games, you could do some shit in that.
Yeah, you can
Like
like, can't you like drown people and stuff?
yeah,
Like,
you used to be able to. You could throw them in the pool and then take out the ladder, and they drown. But they fixed that. They could hop out of the pool without a ladder now. So now it's kind of forcing people to find new creative avenues to
right.
do.
I'm sure someone made a mod for it too, where you can still drown people in
Mhm.
the pool. I'm sure that's a thing. It's got to be.
I think my sister did a thing where like she built a house with all these people in it, and it was almost like a weird social experiment. And she built this house, and then she took out all the doors, and there's like no food or anything in there. She kind of just watched and saw what happened.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah,
you can find ways to do shit like that in just any game, really.
yeah, I've played Sims probably for around 15 minutes in total. And the reason why I stopped playing it was because I created my character. And the whole point of Sims is to live like an interesting life because yours is mundane. I feel like that's like, that's for a lot of people what it is. That's what appealed to me. So I loaded up the game and I was really excited. I pretty much just made a carbon copy of myself, but you
Mhm.
see, the thing is, in real life, if I ask a woman out, she's going to reject me. That's the common. That's what I've noticed. So I was like, you know what? If I do it in Sims, then maybe my character will be a player. And lo and behold, the first Sim that I asked out just completely rejected me. And that's how I knew there's some element of realism in that game. I mean, they had to profile me and they were like, we know what this kid's trying to do. And they screwed me
Oh
over.
shit.
Yeah. Do you know how much it sucks to be rejected in a virtual game? It's terrible.
Oh shit. I Yeah, I guess I felt that. Um, I don't know where to transition from that. It's fucking funny. My sister like recreated our house in The Sims. I don't think she did a good job of like creating us all because there's shit going on where it's like I'll be talking to like my youngest sister. I can never do that. The
Yeah.
fuck. Um, but I guess we can almost start transitioning into the show we're working on together.
We probably should. Yeah,
Yeah,
that would
I think
be
we're about half an hour in or something. So you play Royce Evans on the Hayden Harvey show,
yes.
and audiences got their first look at you in the Zoom teaser. So I guess what were your initial thoughts on this show, and I guess your character? And I know there's some interesting casting stories with you, and I wanted to get into that later.
Right, right.
But I
Well,
was like
without,
your current character.
yeah, well, without, what do we know about the show? Can we reiterate what we know about the show
Um,
so that
well, it's a college show, and the absolutely not normal life of Hayden Harvey. You got this kind of core group of friends, and for whatever reason, they're being targeted by the Huntress, and
mhm.
so the shenanigans begin.
Right, right. So yeah, my initial thoughts on that. Well, actually, that's a perfect transition from the Sims story to this. Was that I was casted perfectly. I'm a socially awkward guy who gets rejected. That's perfect. You did such a great job at it, and the fact that you had only known me, from a class, I would say to be able to pick that out in a crowd is very impressive. I know some shows that would love to hire you to cast people.
Oh,
I think you do a great job.
I, well, I guess we could jump into it now. That Royce wasn't your initial part.
It wasn't. No, I was. I'm forgetting the name. I was supposed to play a guy named Carter. Is that?
Carter, he's like a antagonistic kind of like bully
Yeah.
character, and I'll kind of avoid too many details on this guy.
Yeah.
But that's who you read for initially,
Right.
and even
Right.
and it's like I remember even during audition, I this guy. I think you captured the essence and everything of this character, but it was just like your look. I was like, are people gonna be intimidated by you? And I was like, oh, I'll have to roll with it. And then there was someone else in the part of Royce who actually, funnily enough, is almost like exactly like you.
Yeah.
And he had to drop out because he is a bachelor of fine arts and acting, so his schedule is like insane.
Mhm.
So we don't really have time for anything. So like, oh shit, Royce is like one of the main characters. I need to hurry up and get this recasted and everything. So I'm scouring. I was like, wait, Jonathan might be good for this. So then we did another audition about an hour before the official first Hayden Harvey meeting,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
you got it.
That's exactly what happened. And I remember. I think the first audition for Carter was. I don't know why you asked me to do it, but I'm assuming it's because during that same day, I was reading a scene from Othello. I was reading Iago in
That's right.
class.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless you just were randomly like, I need somebody, and you just went to me. But I like to think that you're always auditioning. It's a good point about that. Even during class, especially at a school like USC where there's so many talented people that are always looking to do projects. I think that definitely goes to show that even if you're doing a read through of something in class, even if anytime you're reading something or performing something, you are auditioning in some sense.
Mhm.
Maybe not in the moment, but for the future, something like that. So I think it's definitely important to hold on to. But yeah, I was I was definitely flattered to get that. It came out of the blue, which was really nice. Those are the best. Where you don't actually have to actively seek out stuff yourself. It's always nice when something comes your way.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of the times as an actor, you really gotta you gotta search for like hundreds of things. But
Mhm.
yeah, it was really nice. It was very serendipitous. So But I guess you can speak more to that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was me
Um,
playing Iago or what was going on.
I think it was, and I feel like, and just kind of going back to your comment about being able to pick people out, I think your overall just vibe just matched Royce so much, kind of like
Yeah.
what I was going for the character with the character. And I was like, Carter's not a huge part. I'll see if he wants to do this one instead. And also, this is really funny too. There was also someone else initially cast as Carter. It was Nathan Moon. He also
Okay.
had that part, but then I had lost another actor for a part that hasn't really fully been disclosed yet, so I won't go into too many details about it. But so I was like, shit. Then again, it was this worse situation where this part is more important than Carter, and so I asked Nathan if he'd be interested in reading for this other part because, and I almost felt not bad, but I was like, oh, when I auditioned him for Carter because he was so fucking excited. And he like texted me, yeah, man, I told my mom about this and she's so hyped. I was like, damn, you're in like 3 episodes. And now with his new part, he's in it a lot more. And so, and he also like you, he matches that part so well. And what
Yeah.
because I've actually already filmed stuff with him in that part and the Huntress spinoff. Yeah, so I
Mhm.
think we filmed with him for like a day or two. And I was like, oh yeah, I made the right call here, and not to like jack myself off or anything, but all the casting we've done so far has been great. It's like there hasn't been one person where I was like, I don't know. Like everyone's been killing it in their respective parts.
Yeah, I think that really just speaks volume to the level of professionalism and or talent, or not and talent that we I have a habit of saying and or with everything, and I don't know why. It's professionalism and talent that's yeah, it's on full scale at USC, and there's so many people that can play a wide variety of parts that it always impresses me when I'm in class or I see someone in performance and they're just playing a character that's completely different than other characters I've seen them play, completely different from who they are, and they're so convincing with it. It's really something. So I'm hoping to see that a lot with Hayden Harvey as
Mhm.
well. I think there's definitely room for that. I think there's also room to make fun of our typecasts a little bit. There
Mhm.
definitely is some of
Yeah.
that going on. So yeah, I'm very excited for the experience. I keep saying I'm very excited because I don't know what to spoil or what not to,
Yeah.
but
Um,
I can say though that season one of me is it's very yeah, I'd say the one thing that it's so hard
um,
I would say.
I think you could basically talk about almost anything except the big thing
Okay,
that
yeah,
happens towards the end.
yeah,
So everything else is pretty fair game.
I would say my personality is just like, it's like I said that it was very similar to me, and I think that is true to a certain degree because everybody has different personas that you put on depending on who you're around, and I think part of an actor's job is to link those personas to characters. So I think there is a part of me that is socially awkward, that is a little innocent, whatever. Definitely a nerd. All right, I'm guilty of that. But yeah, so I think that's the challenge, is linking that persona and taking that persona and elevating it among other aspects of yourself. I think that's it's definitely what I'm working on for season one. Yeah, no, I'm excited to work with the people too, because yeah, no, they just all seem really nice. So yeah, that's good. Not showing up and like everybody's mean. That's always a good
Yeah.
start. So yeah,
And a lot of the cast members were, and this wasn't even really on purpose because I think over half of them had been cast prior, but a lot of the cast members were in our acting class during the second semester or the spring semester of 2020.
yeah, and it's nice because you already kind of know them,
Mhm.
and it's important to know what makes an actor tick or what they tend to do with their characters, because then you can play off of that And if you understand where they're going to come from, or you think you understand where you're going to come from, that also helps with your prep as well. Yeah, and just one thing I've noticed is that, you know, so many people in SDA are really like, are really humble, you know.
Yeah.
Like I haven't met, you know, I've met a couple people that aren't so, not in this cast, but you know,
Mhm.
definitely have. And but I always think to myself, like, I compare it with my high school experience, and it was such like a, I don't know about you, but it was such like a club to be in, you know, like, and everybody
Yeah.
was like really pretentious about it. And it's nice that that isn't the case here. Because I think honestly, being like snooty about acting and everything, it really, it makes you a worse actor, I think, because
Yeah.
you're worried less about, you know, actually acting and more about how you appear to other people. And I think that's a completely absurd thing.
Because I feel like at its core, acting is like it's just having fun and playing pretend. You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of weird to take. I mean, obviously take it seriously, but when it's like you're being an asshole about it, it's like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I've met people like that at our university. It's like, man, I don't want to be around you. You know?
Yeah. And I found when everybody is like super like chill about it, you end up you end up finding so many new things in the script that you can play with, you know, as opposed to completely being like strict and like my way is like the best way, you know, with
Mm-hmm.
my character. Instead, like being open-minded to other ideas that people have, can really help. Because I think, you know, one problem that I've always noticed, is that a lot of people will look at their lines and have a clear idea of what they're going to do before they even step into the room and start acting with the other people. And it's, and the thing that's confusing about that is that like 90% of the time that you're acting, you're not even speaking, you're listening to other people. So acting is really about responding. So if you go in with a clear idea of what you're going to do, you might end up looking a little silly because like,
Mm-hmm.
because you'll be on a completely different wavelength, than everybody else.
Yeah. And kind of going back to the casting process, that was definitely an element when I was kind of scouting out because I did not want anyone that was going to be hard to work with.
Yeah.
And because I know that would just kind of bring down the overall vibe on set and everything. Someone just being really difficult. And so I kind of made sure I got along with everyone before I kind of hit the button. And I there was one person I auditioned and I just that was they did good. Like they did a damn good performance, but they were just kind of hard to talk with and all that. So like they didn't get it just off of that solely.
Oh, Brandon's dropping the tea in the
I,
podcast. All
I
right, I see how it
am.
is.
Um so yeah, it's just like everyone was great, honestly. I think I've said this many times on this show, on this podcast. But like I think the Zoom teaser was great because it really showcased everyone's abilities and also introduced people to the characters. And I've forgotten a lot of people saying that these standouts were you and Grant, who isn't even an actor, which I think is really funny. He's
You
just
know, oftentimes, you know, those can be the best for certain roles.
mm,
You know, because I think actors do, like, you know, like I said, they tend to take their jobs a little too seriously sometimes. So yeah, it's always good to have a person who's just like, yeah, I don't care.
yeah,
I'll just do exactly, you know, what's, you know, what I feel like my character needs in the moment. And yeah, no, he did a really good job. If you would have told me that he's that he's that he's an actor, I would have believed you, because like, you know, he seems very comfortable with it and everything. But yeah, no, the Zoom teaser was something. I wasn't sure at all what to expect from it. Uh, yeah, but it was. I did watch the I watched the little animation that you did at the start too, with the with the loading and everything. I thought that was
yeah.
pretty sick. I don't know how you do something like that, but is that
It's
like stock? Did you make it?
a lot of it was stock and kind of just throwing it all together, making it look cool.
Yeah.
Because I knew I didn't want to just hey, it was a Zoom call, you know. I wanted to make it interesting. I wanted to establish that the Huntress character was coming after them. And there are so many Easter eggs in that video, both kind of in the conversation and in the editing itself. Like I know there's some little hidden things in there, and they're like really hard to find, and I made them hard to find. There's like some stuff that is up for like maybe like a millisecond, it's gone.
Interesting.
Um,
Nice.
so that was fun to edit, and again I talked with Thomas and Les about this, but that was all improv, and we went for about 17 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, it was something, and I think that was the first time a lot of us were even in character together, anyways,
Mm-hmm.
which made it even more of a daunting task because we actually, we've done a table read, but besides
Yeah.
that, that was kind of the first time where we were actually like interacting with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I think it went pretty darn well.
It did.
Yeah.
Editing it down to 9 minutes was very difficult.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
I noticed there was some more raunchy material that didn't quite make it
no,
in.
I left in the last joke though because I thought it was funny, especially coming from Royce.
Yeah,
Yep.
Royce is one of those characters where it's like, I feel like 95% of the time, he's a very submissive dude. He doesn't want to get involved with anything. But
Mm-hmm.
there, the reason why I said that was because there's one line in the script where I kind of do a little quip, right back to what's the name of that character? Could you
Is it
kind
Ryan's
of?
character?
Yes.
Zach.
Zach, thank you. Yeah, it's like you said, Ryan and Zach are like
Oh.
two very similar names. So it's a
Mhm.
yeah. But there's one quip that I do in the script, so I figured that would fit with the character.
And totally, and I feel like he's almost, and we will not see this element show up in the show, but I feel like he's almost ballsier because it's just over a screen, and they're not in person or anything, so he don't have to worry about Zach kicking his ass.
That's true. That's also very true. I do feel like that Royce is well, yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that Royce is definitely a little bit smarter than Zach as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say probably the entire cast, maybe even Grant's character. So it's yeah, no, I think Royce's speciality when he does come back is that he does it in a way that Ryan's character Zach won't realize it at first, and hopefully that'll give me some time to get away, before I get my butt kicked, which is also a very realist. That's something that I'm a master of as well. I'm a master of the roast, but as soon as it gets physical, I'm out the door.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't mess around with that. But yeah, no,
That's
sometimes that is to a fault though. It's I always try to pride myself on honesty, but every once in a while, like sometimes honesty you just need to put to the side and be like, yeah, just leave it there. It's
yeah. I've learned that. So some things I choose not to hold my tongue on. I'm like, oh, maybe I should.
yeah.
Um, another line that I really liked of yours was the when we were talking about favorite colors, and
Mhm.
Zach says lavender, and you come back with, well, most guys you typically have a feminine side. I thought that was fucking hilarious.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah,
Uh,
that was like another one where it's kind of like, I was trying to. It was obviously like a roast, but I tried to position it like an actual like Inquisition or something.
mm-hmm.
Inquisition. That sounds like
Right.
the freaking like Spanish Inquisition. It's questioned. Like
Yeah.
I tried to pose it like it was an actual question, hopefully, but he did catch on to that
Yeah.
one, so I had to reel it back a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's yeah, no, it was fun. The Zoom call was very fun because it was, like I said, it was the first time where we got to really mess around with like chemistry and everything. And chemistry is something that just needs to be worked on
Mm-hmm.
for a very long time. If you watch any good sitcom, going from like season one to like, there's noticeable differences in how the cast interacts with each other. It visibly looks like they're having fun when they start working and working and working, and they're constantly
Yeah.
together. So yeah, it's also something that I definitely hope, because this is my first like series, I guess. So it's
Yeah.
Yeah, it is my first series, so it's yeah, I have a lot of hopes. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm excited to get to
Yeah.
work
Oh,
once whenever that opens up.
and I feel like with a cast and everything, it can almost go two ways towards the as the series progresses, where they gotta be closer together, or just fucking hate each other.
Right, right.
And I'm hoping we don't hit that by the time season 3 rolls around. It's like, oh fuck, all right, let's get to work.
I don't think we will. I think we're gonna be so excited to get to work.
Yeah,
Like, dude, this whole semester online thing. I don't know about you. I personally don't even like doing theater in the first place. I want to do like film and screen and
yeah.
stuff like that. That's why I decided to do Trojan Vision over like plays. But Trojan Vision wasn't really a thing. I think they were casting, but I had no idea. Like, am I just gonna get on Zoom and be like, the weather for today is looking like, it was weird. So, and of course there was theater stuff, but I was just like, what am I realistically gonna get from just being here, doing my best? It just, I don't know. It didn't,
Yeah.
as much as I applaud USC for being able to transition to online kind of sort of seamlessly. Kind of
I
sort
mean,
of, they've done an okay job. I think they're definitely trying.
mhm,
So that's better than just not trying, I guess. And it is really different with professors. I think that's what makes the difference. If a professor knows
yeah,
technology and knows how to work with technology, it's definitely better. But at the same time, as much as I applaud them for giving it their all, it's not the same experience, because not only are classes not in person, but there's facilities that we can't access. There's stuff that we can't audition for. And most importantly, there's projects that we can't work on that we're really excited
mhm,
to get to working on. So literally this semester, I've done scenes in class and everything, but I haven't really done anything. It's very, I don't know, it's very demoralizing. I'd say, my one accomplishment is just trying to wake up every morning and go for a run. you
mhm.
know did you think I was just going to leave it at try to wake up in the morning? Because that is
I,
also an
I,
accomplishment. And
yeah, I'm very impressed by the run edition. Yeah, but I definitely know what you mean. I'm like eager to get to work on like anything at this point. And this past weekend, we were actually supposed to go film something in like the snowy hills of South Dakota, and everything was set. Like most of the cast was ready to go, and then obviously this is out of anyone's hands, so I can't be like pissy about it or anything. Um, one of our actors was actually attacked, and I won't disclaim who, but like, and we have to halt filming now for them to heal. So,
dude,
what
that's
we,
crazy.
yeah, and so we managed to shoot some stuff. Like we shot a teaser, which will be coming out, or will have come out. Will have had come out by this point. By the time this comes out, and so it's crazy, And I was like so excited, like get to work, and then all that happened. I was like, oh shit. And I don't know if I know I haven't told you this yet, but I am actually coming out to LA at the end of this month. So maybe if you're down, we could shoot like a Halloween short or something.
Heck yeah, dude. I don't know. Yeah, I guess I'll be here till the 23rd.
Okay.
So, dude, I'm literally, if you need someone to just stand in the background as like I'll just stand there in costume or something. If you just need like I don't even know. Literally, if you need anything, if you need a clock, boom, I got you. Like, I'm so ready to work on anything. And I actually, yeah, I do envy you a bit, because you're definitely in a state where I think, like, in a physical, like state, as in
Mhm.
Dakota, or South
South,
Dakota.
South, yeah.
Yeah, where I feel like you have the resources available to go out and film stuff, and you're actually like good with editing and stuff like that. So it's yeah, I do envy it a little bit. It's the only time I wish I lived in South Dakota, so that I could work on some projects, because it is it's weird. It's like you'll probably notice it when you come here, but it feels the whole like LA vibe is like completely off here. And I mean like it feels like dystopian a little bit.
That's what I've
Definitely.
heard from everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, the
You don't expect the same
streets.
energy. Like, okay.
Yeah, for sure. Dude, if you yeah, if I'm working on something, heck yeah. Like you know how much like pent up energy I had from just sitting in an apartment all day? Like,
For sure.
dude,
And honestly, I don't even know what we would work on. I literally had this idea yesterday. I was coming home from the hills. I was like, I should shoot something for Halloween when I'm in LA. That'd be pretty sick. So that's as far as I've gotten in terms of story. So is that
sounds pretty good to me.
doing something? So
That's
yeah, at
better
this
than what I
point,
got.
yeah. So I'll keep you updated on that. That could be fun.
Yeah, for sure.
And but yeah, I just because we were this month would have been the first episode of Hayden Harvey. The day the Zoom
Right.
teacher came out would have been the first episode. When so we'd probably be close to wrapping filming at this point if we're not done already.
That's insane. And we were planning on doing like a little preseason thing
Yeah, season
last semester
0.
too. That was the biggest rip when they were just like, nope, you're not coming back.
Oh,
I
dude,
remember.
that was awful.
Yeah, that was. I can't tell. I don't think that was as bad though as just waiting all summer and then finding out that you're not coming back. I think that was like, because I mean, in hindsight, it's like, yeah, obviously that was going to happen, but in the moment, I mean, you're so hopeful that things are going to turn around. It was right around that time where we started like flattening the curve a bit, so we were like, hey,
Yeah.
we're almost done, and then it just went just right up. So it's yeah, and I remember getting that email because I was told, the university told us, they were like, SDA students, we're prioritizing you. You're going to be on campus in person. It's going to be great. And I remember that email that came out. I remember our group chat started popping off because everybody was like, what the heck? And it was, yeah, I was not feeling it. It probably took me a good like week to recover from that
Yeah.
news. I mean, it was like, because what yeah, I feel like a lot of people might understand this, might not understand this, but like, as an actor, I mean, people understand that you can't take your classes online. It's just it's hard to do that. But what people
Mhm.
don't understand is that as opposed to a business student taking it online, if you get the grades as a business student, you'll get hired.
Yeah.
But as an actor, you need experience and stuff like that. And I felt like it was just like experience being taken away from me, and there was nothing I could do. And I feel like I need that to get a job, and it all relies on my future and everything. So it really like tossed everything up in the air
Mhm.
for some solid
Definitely.
time. I was like, should I switch majors? Is it too late for that? I mean, there was so many thoughts going through my mind. I
Mhm.
still question why I'm a theater major every day. But I mean, part of it, I love. There are other parts of it that are like voice class. Like, what even is that? Have you taken voice yet?
No, I've not.
It's just weird. It's like they make you stretch your tongue, your uvula, your
How do you
freaking.
stretch your uvula?
You got to do this thing where you man, it's hard to describe, but I'll demonstrate it. I'll
Okay.
get some ASMR right in here. So you kind of have to, your tongue has to like go down here, and then you have to go like, and like your uvula apparently like goes up here, like it like. I just realized that none of my hand signals or anything are being seen on Spotify, but I will give you the ASMR right now. I'll try it out. Do you hear that? Is that is
I
that
heard the
perfect?
uvula slap the top of your mouth. That was pretty
Excellent.
great.
Yeah, yeah. You gotta have this slap. It sounds a little like that, just a little, yeah. And that's am I the first person that's done ASMR on here?
You are, yes.
Excellent. I was hoping for that. That was
Well,
my only objective for
you will
tonight, was
forever
just
have that
ASMR.
title.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna be on Twitch later. Just gonna be messing around with my uvula for anybody
Yeah.
interested. I got some different cameras set up. One is gonna be going right in there. It's like, when you go to the doctor and you see, well, I guess not when you go to the doctor every day, but like, when you have like surgery or something, they stick that thing down your throat.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah,
have
yeah.
that. Yeah, it's gonna be a great time. What do they even do that for? Is it for like,
I think that might be for I forget what it's called, but it's like your butt. Could be wrong, but I don't know. Like they have to make sure you're
something
you're
down
good.
there in
Yeah,
the
they have to
glute
make sure
region?
you're good. Like,
Is it
all
like the
right,
prostate or something? That's something we
pro-
have,
I
right?
think so. I
Yeah.
don't know. I once listened to a podcast with a bunch of like 40-year-old guys talking about how they had to get that done because they're old. And I was like, oh man, I
Yeah,
hope I
it's
don't make it there.
it's the two-finger plunge, isn't it? Is that what it is? The
I
old
have I have no idea.
right up there. You can't see this on Spotify either. I'll do a little. There we go. That's what it sounds like. It's
Yep.
exactly what it sounds like. It's very aggressive. It's fast-paced. They really just they just grab it and go. That's what they do. That's what I heard.
Yep. That's how the doctors can attest. But yep, that's it.
Yep. They don't actually feel for anything. They just like to do that every once in a while to troll their patients. It's like
Just
you
go,
think
all
you're
right.
going in for a routine checkup.
And they go, all right, you're good. I'm like, good on what? And they leave.
Yeah. You ever seen that Family Guy episode where like Peter talks about that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's great. I'm not going to bring up the full topic of that conversation because that might be a little too much for a podcast. But it was a good episode. It was a fun episode.
Um, so this is something I thought of when we were in the conversation, but then I forgot about it. But I just remembered. In terms of like this is the worst transition from prostate exams ever.
I was
But
gonna say I was really excited to see how you're gonna tie those two things together.
um, but I feel like, and this is both from the Zoom teaser and the table read we did in May. I'm very excited to see you and Alyssa's characters interact with each other in the show because I feel like that is such an interesting dynamic, and we kind of got a taste for it in the Zoom teaser. But there's one scene in particular I'm thinking about from the show itself where I was fucking losing it. Like I had to mute my mic because I was laughing so fucking hard.
Right? Was
And
that during the table read?
yes.
Okay, I think I remember. I think I remember that one. Yeah, that's
And
gonna
so
be.
yeah, so I think you guys in your guys' like relationship throughout the show is going to be one of the more interesting ones to kind of perceive and see where it goes. Um so can I yes I can. So in the show and again we get a taste for this in the Zoom teaser. Royce is interested in Avery, but he's Royce. So it's like, and I guess what do you think about that dynamic in that relationship?
Yeah, well, yeah. I guess first of all, it's worth mentioning that when I auditioned for Royce, I was confused as to whether Avery was a guy or not.
I
the
remember that.
the only Averys I know are men, so I was very confused about that. There was a line where Thomas's character Hayden was like, "Yes, yes, she is indeed a girl," and I was like, "Wait a minute, what type of show is this?" I was very confused, but then I figured it out. It fits with the character and everything, so that's definitely something. But what was your question again? Now that I
What
completely forgot.
how what was my question? How would you describe Avery and Royce's relationship?
It's like the standard rom com. That's what I would put it as the standard rom com. It's like a meet cute that happens for the entirety of the first season. You know, like I don't know if you know like the whole meet cute thing. It's like
Mhm.
okay, all right. I didn't know if that was like a term that's like an
I
actual
guess
thing. I,
should
I heard
probably
it
just
once and I
probably
was
just
like,
explain it for people listening. Who are like, what the fuck is that?
yeah. Yeah, so a meet cute is it's when the characters first meet in a rom com.
Hmm.
That's the thing, and it's usually something a little quirky. Oh, I dropped my groceries. Oh, look at that. Oh, there she is. Something like that. I just slapped my desk. I'm just slapping everything today. That's what I'm doing. But yeah. So that's what I would describe it as a meet cute that lasts for the whole season. that's it. And yeah, no, it's gonna be interesting working with Alyssa. I kind of know her, but also I just kind of don't at the same time.
That's
That's
fair.
that's that's what I feel like. I met her in our acting class, and we both play soccer. So I think the grand majority of the time that I've actually spent with her is just kicking a ball around before class.
I remember you guys like
That's
pelted me with one on the shin at one point.
that was probably Alyssa. That wasn't me. All right, Alyssa is the mean one. You know what she told me? She's like, by the way, she's like, she seems like a really nice person, you know. But she told me, she was like, yeah, I'm a dick when I play soccer. Like I'll like kick somebody and then I'll start like talking trash in their ear. And I was like, oh my god, Alyssa, like I was gonna invite you to our Christian soccer team, but I guess that's not gonna work out. But yeah, that's it. And the only other experience that I've had talking to her, two other things. One, she's told two jokes to me, and I can already tell that her humor style is like the most aggressive like humor style I've ever witnessed. I don't know if you've noticed this, but like dude, like I don't know how to describe it, but her like playful reaction to everything is like, hey, what the heck are you doing? You know, like something like that. It's like she's done that like twice to me, and it scared the crap out of me. I didn't know she was serious, but then it turned out she was joking. So yeah, that's something. And then the other thing was we teched. She's a really cool person, by the way. When she listens to this, really cool person, really nice. I just did like a weird finger thing. I just realized my hand wasn't in the hole. It's got the it's got the thumb sticking
Oh
up
yeah,
there.
yeah.
But yeah, really cool person. But
She's gonna
yeah, I'm
kick your
gonna
ass.
yeah, she will. But yeah, we'll be playing soccer, and she'll just freaking take out my ankles and start talking trash about my mom and stuff, while I'm on the ground. But anyways, I'm gonna kind of rat her out. She skipped a lot of play practice when we were teching for a show. She said she got the time off. Yeah, apparently costumes just didn't have to show up like half the time. But yeah, I think there was something more insidious going on there. Ooh, we should have done like a double podcast thing. That would have been that would have been fun. You know what I'm talking about?
Like,
I just described that in the dumbest way possible. We should have had Alyssa on here too.
oh well, I was planning on bringing you, Alyssa, and Thomas on during the holiday month of December for like
Oh
a
well,
Hayden
there we
Harvey
go.
special.
I apologize. I just completely spoiled that, didn't I? I
No,
spoiled something that I didn't know about.
no, no, I've talked about it with Thomas and Alyssa, so people know it's coming. And
Okay.
so now we could all talk shit to each other in person.
Yeah. Is it gonna be in character? Or is it gonna be
No, it's just gonna be like us talking about it and whatever.
okay? Cool. Cool. Because that's just an observation I made about the aggressive joking style. I wonder if that's actually a thing, or if she was actually just going after me. Like I don't know, but it definitely scared me. There's been a few times, when people tell jokes, I'm guilty of that too. I can tell them with like the most straight face ever, and it's like sometimes people like get scared, and it's like it's like what, like I won't even say something like scary. It'll just be like like an observation about something, but it's
Mhm.
obviously a joke, and they're like, you actually think that? It's like, no, I don't actually think that. Yeah, it's a problem. But I guess that goes back to the whole straight face joke telling, like honesty thing. I definitely, like I said, I have it to a fault, where I feel like it definitely happened a couple times in our acting class, where like we would do an exercise and I would just be like, this exercise is stupid. Like I think I accidentally said that about one of Stevie's, like we did like a destination exercise or something, where we all like closed our eyes and we pretended that we were on a hot air
Oh,
balloon.
I fell
Yeah,
asleep during that.
really, like I felt so bad because we got finished with that, and like everybody was crying. Do you remember that?
I
Like
do. Wait, was
everybody
that the
was
hot
just,
air balloon one, or was that like the other one? Because I know we
there
did
was
one.
more.
We did
I've
one where we were like laying on the ground or some shit, and then we did another one where we were like in our chairs and with our eyes closed. And I know what you mean because after like the one in the chair, I opened my eyes open, everyone was fucking losing it.
Yeah, that was the
And
one. Yeah, and I remembered. everybody was like crying and they were talking about how they like pictured their like, dead whatever. It's like fill in the blank. And I was like, I don't know. I didn't feel anything. And yeah, it was it was it was interesting because like I feel like teachers can react like one of two ways to that. Either they like love you for being honest, or they're just like, this kid's a screw off, like
Mhm.
but then Stevie went up to me after class and he was like, you're an honest guy and I can respect that. And I was like, okay, that went better than most times. Like, yeah, I used to get in trouble a lot, especially when I was younger, with
Mm.
just saying dumb stuff at the wrong time. And
Oh
it's
yeah,
like, yeah,
I still get in trouble for that. It's fine.
really,
Um,
I found in university there's less people can do about it.
yeah,
Like when you were like freaking 10, like you could get in trouble for anything, and then you come home, you're grounded. You go to school and you have to go to the principal's office. There's all that stuff. Here it's like you really have to say something egregious to like
yeah.
get in trouble, because like here you can in SDA you can say most inappropriate things. Like it's just you have to be mindful, but you could be
Mhm.
pretty inappropriate. As long as I realize that people are completely fine if you're a major jerk, as long as you're punching up. That's the thing. You
Yeah.
always got to punch up. So yeah, I pretend that I am, I pretend that I am oppressed in some way, and then I'm like, screw the system, even though I'm at like a nice university
Mhm.
attending a class that many people want to be in. I'm just like, screw it, and
Yeah.
it works.
Mhm.
Mental games or something. I don't know. I don't think that's the term at all.
That,
But
that's what it is now. We're
yeah,
changing it. Mental games.
yeah, that sounds like
Um,
a kids show. Where they'd bring him on camera
mhm.
and they would ask him all those like weird. It's like Jeopardy, but all the questions are really easy.
And whoever made the title was really fucking lazy.
Yeah, yeah, and like there's the whole thing where like you get slimed if you get the wrong answer or whatever, because
Oh
that's
yeah.
that's
Mhm.
Nickelodeon's only thing that they have is just freaking throwing green slime at people for some reason. It's
Um,
such a weird. How
and
did
they,
that?
uh, I don't know, cause like remember they would do like their Kids Choice Awards or whatever, and the winner would get their little like Nickelodeon blimp, and then they'd
Yeah,
get slimed. You know how pissed I would be.
yeah. I don't know if as an actor, like if I was a serious like hardworking actor, I don't know if I'd be offended if the only thing I was nominated for was a Kids Choice Award or not. Like I don't know
Yeah.
if that's like a cool thing to get, or if that's like something where it's like you show it to your Oscar friends and they're just like, simp. Like I don't know. So I'm kind of scared for the future. Good thing I'll probably never win any awards, but if I get
Oh
to that
man.
point, it'll be what
Yeah.
do you nodding your head? Yeah, yes, Jonathan, you're terrible. But
No, I mean,
no,
like
I'm just messing around.
I relate. What do you mean?
Yeah, exactly. That's the SDA mindset right there. That's a I'm really here to become a waiter. That's my
Oh
dream.
yeah.
I heard
Hmm.
that's the path. It's through the theater school, right to the bar.
Yes. Um, I think a lot of this is just talking about acting, which I'm here for. Um,
But yeah, back to
because
the topic at hand,
no, I
for
mean, because
sure.
I was gonna start talking more about it. Yeah, because acting, and I talked about this with Thomas, and I when I was editing that podcast, we were talking about something, and then I completely transitioned into what I'm about to talk about because I was gonna make a point at the end, but then I forgot, and it just seemed like I just steered the conversation like to my something that happened to me, and then just that didn't really have anything to do with what we were talking about. But this time I'm gonna finish it. So acting almost got ruined for me first semester because and Stevie talked about this in our acting class about how when you add like too much, like all these rules and boundaries and everything, it kind of ruins it. And I know one of our classmates talked about how she really loved to write when she was a kid and she would just go off. But as soon as someone told her about how like adding periods and capitals and all that shit, she stopped writing. And so my first semester of acting, my professor, who was like one of those, if you fuck off, he's gonna be all somehow about it. He doesn't respect honesty or anything. and he was just throwing so much at me, and we clashed so much in that class where I was just like, man, fuck this. Am I in the wrong major? You know? And that kind of prompted my what is going on in my current major change. Um, well, then I got to Stevie's and it kind of relit that. I was like, oh, this is fucking sick. But but even with that, I still feel like with acting, it's hard to teach it in a class, even more so online. So I didn't take any online.
Yeah.
And so I feel like you learn the most from actually doing it and getting proper experience, which was definitely one of the reasons why I wanted to start the Hayden Harvey show, is so we could all get some experience and do something on the side besides SDA's curriculum and all the shows and everything, that we could have something that we can call our own and get better because of it.
Hmm. Was that intro to acting? Was that what it
It
was?
was, yeah.
I also I had a difficult transition, definitely. It's kind of what I was talking about at the start of this podcast, but they pretty much tell you as soon as you start taking that class, realism is the way. That's the only
Yeah.
way. Which I personally I've learned to love. You know, it's something that I struggle with, you know, a lot, especially when I was starting out last year. I remember it was bad because like the first like 3 or 4 performances that I did in that class, you know, whether it's just little stuff or whether it was an actual monologue or something, it was all like the teacher was just like, Jonathan, you're just not getting it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
and it and you know, to a certain extent, I was flustered by it because you know it definitely, actors do have egos. That's a thing. You know, part of being an actor is you have to learn to set it aside, and that's what I tried to do. But yeah, I can definitely feel you on that. It's hard, but with me, I was fortunate enough. I liked the teacher, so it was a little better for me. I can understand if you didn't like the teacher and then they're also telling you that stuff, that'd be a whole other thing, a whole different thing from mine. But eventually I learned, you know, at least with my teacher, he was there to you know, help me become better.
Yeah.
And I think I definitely did towards the end of that. But yeah, it was jarring. Like,
Mhm.
because in high school you can kind of skate along with whatever character you want, you know, no one's gonna really judge you, no one's
Yeah.
no one's gonna critique you. But as soon as you get here, it's like boom, my objective is to make you cry and make you talk about, you know, like some teachers honestly, like they want to get there. But yeah, it was refreshing to take Stevie's class. Stevie Johnson, by the way,
The legend himself.
putting the full name in there.
Yeah.
uh
I'm gonna get
yeah,
him on this podcast eventually. Just kidding.
yeah, he would be really interesting to
Yo,
talk to.
that would be a very emailing him right now. Just kidding.
You should. He would definitely do it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd be very interesting. But yeah, no, it is like you said, it's so important to just remember that to play. You know,
Mhm.
most of the time that's what it is. It's playing, because in those times that you're playing, you're most in character, you're discovering new things, and that's what you're supposed to be doing. So it's important not to look at stuff too analytical, or else you'll lose the character completely.
Mhm. Um, so kind of roping back around to the working on projects on our own and everything. Um, you have been cast as the lead in the Beast Within show, which is a show that's surrounded in a lot of secrecy right now. We haven't really disclosed much about it besides the fact that it's happening, and you being announced as the lead is the most we've said about it since its announcement back in January of this year. And so I guess being as non-spoilery as possible, like what are your thoughts on this show, this new show?
Yeah, so kind of like I said earlier in the episode, I am honored to be part of Hayden Harvey, as a web series. It's the first series that I'm going to be a part of, and I'm super excited to get started with it. And it's kind of the same thing with the Beast Within. You know, I never thought I was gonna be in a series this early on, and I definitely never thought I was gonna be a lead in another series. You know, this early on in the process of discovering myself as an actor, it's going to be a challenge. A lot of lines to memorize, but you know, the important thing about, you know, being an actor, especially nowadays, especially nowadays, is everything's going to be challenging for you. You know, and you gotta be thankful for what you've been given, and I definitely am, and I'm really looking forward to doing it and putting 100% into both projects.
Because there's almost a huge, I guess there is a kind of a huge departure between these two characters that you will be playing. Because Royce obviously is a very innocent, like goofy guy, and
Yeah.
the Beast Within, that character, it's again avoiding spoilers, but that show is very much the roots of it kind of deal with PTSD and trauma, and both like childhood trauma and then current and all that stuff, and kind of what kind of happens to an individual who's been through so much shit when they're alone and
Yeah.
all that. So it's a very different turn from who he will be portraying in Hayden Harvey. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see for you. And then how do you think you're going to approach that particular one?
You know, that's a good question. So they are two different characters, and pretty much the way that I'm going to approach it is the way that I try to approach a lot of my characters, kind of regardless of the content. What I've realized is that, you know, we've talked about it a lot in class, and I think it works really well for me. Is the Uta Hagen substitution exercise, emotional recall, stuff like that. That's really what I channel. My goal, um, you know, knowing what I know about that character, I know that I haven't directly experienced what that character has experienced, but also at the same time in my life, I have experienced, you know, times in which I've had elevated stress, in which something has happened to me, and I've experienced times like that in which it's rubbed off on me in the future, towards which, you know, maybe I'll think about it, you know, 2 months from when it happened or something like that. So it's important to recognize how you react to certain situations, and then relate that, um, to what your character has experienced, and that's what I'm planning on doing. It's not, especially, you know, for content like that, it's not the most fun process in the world, digging up old memories,
Mm,
but I think it's a necessity, and I think that's one way to truth. So yeah, that's really what I plan on doing.
definitely. And like for me, I've kind of had to tackle something similar with my role as Bigby in DKs, because we have the reveal in the end that he had a wife and a son and they died, and we shot that scene, and it actually wasn't going to be we weren't going to show it initially because honest to God, when I was writing the script, I just didn't want to do it. I was like, this is a lot, and I would much rather just like play him afterwards and kind of see the shelled man he is. But I kind of knew that I had to put it in, so I wrote it, put it in, and I was like, wow, this is gonna fucking suck, and it did. Like I had to get in a pretty different headspace for that scene of him having to kill his son, then watch his wife die. And I don't I don't think I necessarily really used anything to get into that headspace. I kind of just got sad, you know. I kind of spent like an hour or so kind of getting just listening to sad ass music. No, I lied. I know what I used. Um so this we filmed this probably a week or two after The Last of Us Part 2 came out. And have you played that and or care?
I do not care. So
Okay.
go ahead and spoil.
Okay.
But
Well,
I heard it's definitely, I heard a lot of things about
yeah,
the
it's
game.
I mean, I didn't like it at first, but it's grown on me since. But the main character from the first game dies very brutally, and I kind of related to him a lot in the first game. And so watching him die really fucked me up. And so that was still fresh in me when we were filming these scenes. So I mostly used that, which was weird. But honestly, it's like whatever works with acting, you know?
Yeah.
And I talked about this with Thomas. I feel like, I feel like this is also a kind of almost a problem with some acting professors and how they're so dead set on you preparing for characters in a very specific way. And I feel like you can't critique the process of art making. You could critique the art itself, but not the process that led to it, you know?
Yeah.
And so, um, but yeah, it's definitely, it's going to be interesting for you. That's all I'll say. Cause that character is very, there's a lot going on with that guy. And I think I'm very excited for audiences to see that particular project and that side of you with your acting ability and everything.
For sure. Yeah. I'll definitely have to do a lot of work prior to get into that headspace, but it's gonna be it's it's going to be a learning experience for sure. That's really how I treat a lot of the stuff. Everything is a learning experience, and as long as you're learning during the process, then you will become
Mhm.
better and more realistic and more believable. And that's my goal, is to put to put my best foot forward. And yeah, I think it's gonna be a unique challenge. I've definitely never gone that far, without spoiling anything, of course.
Oh.
So yeah, it's yeah, that's that's what I can say about that.
Yep. And hopefully we'll have more to talk about with this project in the future whenever more details are out there.
Mhm.
Um, but I guess this is like my final question I have written up, but you are a year older than most of the cast, correct?
Yes.
And so with spring inevitably being online and us having to delay filming to late 2021, and but yeah, keep that in mind. How do you feel about getting tied to a 3-season show that as of right now will be going into 2024, 2 years after you graduate?
Yeah, I mean, well, from what I do know is I'm going to be in LA for the foreseeable future after graduation, and I'm a person that commits, and when I make a commitment, I do my best to follow through on the commitment. It's something that none of us could have envisioned happening. I know certainly I never saw it coming.
Mhm.
I actually remember on my show in sophomore year, we talked about it because it was like a news show and everything, and it was like celebrity stuff. But we would talk about the coronavirus. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. I just demonetize you. I'm sorry. But
I haven't heard that. Sorry to cut you. I haven't heard that term in a very long time. The coronavirus.
oh
I
yeah,
feel like
is
that's
everyone
like
calling
a
it COVID now?
yeah. I think
Yeah,
it's a name that kind of died off like the first 2 months.
that's true. Because the coronavirus is there's many coronaviruses out there, so I
Mhm.
feel like that's why people don't use it. Because coronavirus refers to, I think, it's like this specific type of thing. Like
Mhm.
there have been other coronaviruses in the past.
Mhm.
I think H1N1 was also one as
Yeah.
well. Anyways,
Yeah.
yeah, so COVID-19. Yeah, but we would cover that. We covered that a few times on the show, and I just remember thinking, I was like, sucks for China. And that's what I remember thinking. And then it turns out, when the first cases started happening, it was weird because I was in LA and I'm from Washington State. Originally, that's where all my family lives. And I remember a lot of people were really worried for me, even though I wasn't really worried, because Washington State was the first one that got hit. And
Mhm.
it looked really, really bad because it hit all the nursing homes. So it was something. I totally forgot what question you're trying to ask. Oh yeah, about the future. So yeah, it's literally, I never imagined any of that happening, but at the same time, I wanna commit, the best I can, towards filming this. So that's really that's my response. Uh, yeah.
And I think um you I words you listen I we kind of talked about this after the Zoom teacher because we kind of stayed on the call and bullshit around for a bit about getting Daniel Radcliffe to a role. Do you have any fear of that with this show and just being Royce? Because I also me and Alyssa kind of talked about this, and this is literally 100% up in the air. Like nothing has been confirmed, and this won't be a decision that will be made until way later. Is the possibility of extending the show past 3 seasons if there's like demand for it? And so then that raises like, are you scared of like people only being able to perceive you as this one character?
No.
Cool, moving on.
No, I'm not scared about that. I think it's way too early in my my career. Technically, I don't even. I think as a career, I have to make money first, so I can't even say
Yeah.
career.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say I'm not worried at the moment about being typecast for the rest of my life. And if I am, I hope I make a ton of money doing it. uh, if I, yeah, if the show pops off and we're at the stage where people can only see me as that person, that means we're very, very successful.
Yeah.
So I welcome that with open arms for sure. Yeah. So actually, yeah, I'd be totally for that.
Cool. And so, because I know my roommate at one point he mentioned to me, he was like, "Man, people are just gonna see you as that guy from the show." Yeah, it's fine, like if you're getting recognized, you're doing something right, especially in our field.
Yeah.
I got recognized in a gas station here a couple weeks ago, which is very interesting. Like they had seen DKs and it's like, oh, you were in the zombie thing. I was like, yes, I was. Hello. And so that was like jarring at first. I was like, holy shit, this is a thing. And I was like, but how did she? But then we were in the paper.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's interesting, getting recognized for your work.
I look
And
forward to it. I haven't been recognized for anything. I was recognized like one time when I did one of those high school program things, and we had like our comedy performance, and we were rock stars for one night after that because like everybody loved it. I had never been like the popular kid before, and it
Mhm.
was so cool that people would like go up to me and be like, "Oh my god," you know, like
Yeah.
it's such like a weird experience because yeah, it was something that I had never experienced before. But yeah, I definitely look forward to that aspect of acting as well. I can't say that fame hasn't crossed my mind
Mhm.
with anything. So yeah.
I got popular in high school because of the show I was doing, and people kind of just knew me as the film guy.
Mm.
And so like I made like homecoming and prom ballots and shit for like royalty or whatever. I was like, what the fuck? This is I'm not used to this shit because like I don't think I was, and popular is such a weird term. But I don't think I was like popular until like senior year, and I feel like that's almost partly. I only feel like I only got because how it worked at our school is they send out lists of like nearly every fucking person like in the class, and
Mm.
then to every student, and you have to vote on like five, and that's how it determines who's on the ballot. And so obviously a lot of freshmen don't know who the fuck like any of the seniors are. And I think like a week before the initial list went out, I had presented something of the school. I don't remember. I just remember I was up in front talking and I showed a video. And I feel like that's how I got on. People like, hey, that's that one fucker who was talking to me. Put him on there. But yeah, it's weird and it's something I try not to think about because I think I don't do what I do because yeah, I'm gonna get famous. Like I do what I do because I love it.
Yeah.
And it's just fun to me. And it's almost therapeutic in a way.
Mm.
Like this is kind of roping back to our conversation about kind of going stir crazy. But when online schooling first started, like back in March, I was fucking losing it like completely. And I think it was during one of my classes I was like, I need to fucking do something. I don't know. And that's how I decided to create DKs. And so when the news came out that we wouldn't be returning for the fall, it hit me, but I didn't think it hit me as hard because I was able to have an outlet like a month prior or so. And so I was like, okay, and at least I'm still working, so it's not as bad. But I know what you mean, where it's like you're just kind of sitting there. So fucking Halloween short, oh boy.
For sure, for
um,
sure.
but and ooh, actually, hold on, I'll save that for later. But for after this is done. But yeah, so I'm hoping we can start working on shit sooner rather than later because this is awful. And my pick of actors here is very slim. And so I'm very much looking forward to being able to work with all you guys and just have fun on set. Because again, the whole cast is great. There's so much potential for success. And I think the series is going to be fucking great. Do you have any overall thoughts on the series itself?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be awesome. Like, like I said, the one thing that I look forward to most is just learning and taking in as much as I can, because everybody's gonna be learning during this process, and it's gonna be fun to see how it progresses. In
Mhm.
terms, it's always interesting to see with series, how they start versus how they finish, and it's gonna be, hopefully we can really take everything that we've learned, in class, with editing or whatever, and really create something special for people to see.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited. It's gonna be so fucking sick. I'm just bummed out. We would have been finishing right now.
And
Uh, COVID. Before we wrap up, do you? And I prompt this to everyone. Do you have any questions for me? So I've been throwing questions at you this entire time.
that's good. Now I have to think of a question. So, Brandon,
Hello.
what was your inspiration for doing the podcast?
The podcast. Okay. Well, this is actually kind of funny. So, I have this mic I'm using, and it's okay. It's decent. Um, but I bought it for voiceover work and everything because I find I do a lot of that. Like, there's one character from a show that her name's the Falcon Knight, but I provide like the voice when she's like under the mask or whatever because she's like a voice modulator. So
Mhm.
I do that, and I do a bunch of other voiceover like pickup line. Like, there's a couple of scenes in like DKs that are completely dubbed over, and so that's why I got the mic. And then I made a joke on Snapchat. Or I took a picture. I was like, "Hey, if I made a podcast, who would listen?" And then like in parentheses, I went, "I'm not doing a podcast." And like a lot of people were like, "Yo, I would listen. It's dope as hell." I was like, "Oh shit, is this a possibility?" Nah. And then I think I was actually in the middle of a conversation with Alyssa when like it dawned on me. I was like, "What if I did a podcast just talking to like cast members about shows we're working on and kind of give like an insider view?" I was like, "Oh, that'd be sick." And then I knew I was gonna do it when I made the logo, like that simple Convos with the cast logo. I was like, "Oh, we're doing this." I made a logo. It's official. And so then I think it was a couple days later when I recorded the first episode. And I just think it'll be, like I said, it'll be fun to get like this insider view and to kind of give people who are going to be watching us or have watched some of my stuff, kind of like to see the non-actor side of us and the non-character sides, and kind of see like, oh, these are people, you know.
Yeah, there you go.
So I think it'll be fun to do, especially for like people who are like completely different from their characters. Like in a future episode, I'm bringing on the main antagonist from DK's, and in DK's he was such a fucking dick, but he's like one of the coolest people ever. Um, because and that's almost because one of the characters in the boys show we previously mentioned, Homelander, such a fucking dick in the show, like he's
Mhm.
awful. And then you have like Joffrey from Game
Yeah.
of Thrones and everything, where people just hate them. And so it's almost like wanting to show that there is a difference between the people and then the characters. You a little less, but it's
A
fine.
little less
Yeah.
at the moment. I mean,
Yeah, but
yes,
sorry.
of course, Brandon. I was gonna spoil something and then I didn't.
Oh,
So
okay,
there we
nice.
go.
Well, if you don't have any more questions for me, I am out.
Awesome.
Oh,
Thank you
fuck.
for having me on the show.
Yeah, this is fun. This is a good conversation. You made me laugh more than everyone else, so you have that.
Ah,
So you
thank
did
you.
ASMR and you made me laugh. I definitely let out some pity chuckles, like before. Like I think, damn, we're just bodying Alyssa on this podcast. I know she would say some shit. I'd be like, anyway. Oh man,
Good
getting
Lord.
getting our asses kicked by Alyssa. That'll be the next podcast.
Yep,
Her and Thomas are gonna like team up on us when we do the
can
group one.
happen. Yeah.
It's fine. But anyway, yeah. Thanks everyone for listening. Thank you, Jonathan, for being on the show. And I'll see you later.